If you could go anywhere in time, meet any historical figure, when would you go? The Renaissance was an age of renewal and rebirth in Europe that lasted from the 14th to the 17th century. During this time, inventions like the printing press were made. During this time was the Protestant Reformation, a movement against the teachings of the Catholic Church. Leonardo da Vinci was an artist and inventor at the time who was famous for his painting, the Mona Lisa. Life at the time was very abundant because there was much food and little people. Many arts and inventions of that era still greatly influence our world today. The Age of Exploration, also known as the Age of Colonization, was a time around the 1500s where many of the countries in Europe expanded their empires overseas by creating new colonies. The discovery of the New World and the building of the Jamestown colony are two very significant events of this time. Christopher Columbus was a Spanish explorer who is often credited for the discovery of the New World. He was one of the first people from the Old World to step foot on its shores. Inventions such as the compass and better mapping were vital to this age. Britain, Spain, Portugal, France, and the Netherlands are some of the countries that made empires during this time. Life in the New World was particularly rough, as they were building colonies from scratch in an unfamiliar environment. Some of these colonies eventually turned into great countries in our world today. The American Revolution, also known as the Revolutionary War, was the uprising of the 13 English colonies in the Americas against Great Britain. In 1776, the colonies declared their independence from Britain by signing the Declaration of Independence. And on October 19, 1781, the British finally surrendered at the Battle of Yorktown. George Washington was the general of the Continental Army and later went on to become America's first president. Life up to and during the Revolution was quite hard for the colonies. Britain had imposed many heavy taxes on them, and during the war, there was much force that was put against them from the British Army. However, many colonists still chose to carry out actions against the British Empire, one of which, the Boston Tea Party, as shown here, is a famous example where colonists boarded a British ship and dumped many crates of tea into the Boston Harbor. The French Revolution took place in France from 1789 to 1799. But not this France. The Eiffel Tower wasn't built for another 100 years. The French Revolution was a revolt of France's working class against the upper classes. The working class was underfed and overworked, while the upper classes lived in luxury. The storming of the Bastille, which was a prominent fortress and prison in France, is considered to be the start of the French Revolution. Following the working class's success in the French Revolution, they executed King Louis XVI with a guillotine. King Louis XVI was the king of France during the French Revolution. He reigned from 1774 to 1793 and was the last king of France before the monarchy was abolished in 1792, and he was executed in the following year. Before the revolution, there was almost no food for the working class, and the upper classes had complete power. Afterward, food was more evenly distributed, as was work, and there was more power to the people and a more democratic government. This institution of democracy led to France becoming the country it is today. The Napoleonic Wars were a series of wars from 1799 to 1815, led by Napoleon, who was at the time Emperor of France, who decided that the best defense of their country was an offense upon their enemies. Napoleon's incredible strategic ability and strong leadership are what led him and his army to be so successful during this time. Napoleon overthrew the French government and rose to power in 1799, and started conquering Europe in 1804 through 1814. The French people, mad with Napoleon for undoing the democracy inset by the revolution, decided to banish him to a faraway island. However, he found his way back to France, just to get banished to a different island, here where he died. Despite his unpopularity among the people, Napoleon's conquers made France a more prosperous country, as there were many resources and food gained from the countries that they took over. After all of this, the European countries were tired of fighting each other, and an era of peace began. Little did anybody know it would lead right into a war greater than any that had ever come before. So let me ask you again, if you could go anywhere in time, when would you go?